What's up, everyone? Today we're diving deep into the wild ending of Butterfly Season 1 on Prime Video. And trust me, this action-packed espionage thriller leaves us with some seriously dark questions by the final episode. So if you haven't finished the season yet, this is your spoiler warning. You might want to come back after you've watched it all. The setup. So let's quickly recap what we're dealing with here. Butterfly follows David, a highly skilled former secret agent who's been hiding in the shadows for 9 years. But he comes out of hiding to pursue Rebecca, and here's the twist: she's actually his daughter, who he abandoned when she was just a kid. David had to fake his own death and disappear because things got incredibly complicated. Meanwhile, Rebecca grew up thinking her father was dead and became an assassin working for a company called Caddies, which was actually co-founded by her father and a woman named Juno Lund. Talk about family drama, right? How it all goes down. The season starts with Rebecca on a mission in Seoul where she poses as a pregnant woman to kill Karpov, a Russian high-level officer. She's incredibly skilled at what she does, but during her extraction, everything goes sideways. Her team gets compromised and she realizes she's the actual target, but she has no idea who's hunting her. Eventually, she finds a clue that leads her and her team to a house. When they finally track down the person trying to kill her team, she discovers it's her own father, David. The same man she thought was dead for 9 years is now trying to reconnect with her. You can imagine how well that goes over. Initially, Rebecca doesn't trust David at all. She puts her faith in Juno, instead the woman who basically raised her after David disappeared. But here's where it gets really twisted. Juno is actually the one who orchestrated the whole situation that forced David into hiding in the first place. She's been the villain all along and definitely doesn't want David to survive their reunion. Things get even more complicated when we learn that American intelligence agencies are targeting Juno because they suspect she and Caddies have been selling national secrets. So David and Rebecca end up working with the FBI to take down Caddies permanently. The Juno Problem. Now, David's original plan was simple: grab Rebecca and disappear back into hiding. But it becomes clear pretty quickly that Juno will never let them live in peace. The problem is, they need solid proof or a key witness to take her down legally. So they come up with this psychological manipulation involving Oliver, who's Juno's own son. They make Oliver believe his mother wants him dead because he supposedly betrayed her, and they use the already strained relationship between mother and son to make Juno think Oliver has actually turned against her. It's pretty brutal when you think about it. The manipulation works, and Oliver runs straight to the FBI. But while all this is happening, Juno tracks down David, forcing the family to flee. During all the chaos, Rebecca gets captured. Juno tries to use Rebecca as bait to get to David, but when she realizes the FBI is closing in on her operation, she makes a run for it. But here's what's really interesting: before escaping, she tries to recruit Rebecca for her future plans. She tells Rebecca that David could have come back any time during those 9 years, but he chose not to because he had built himself a new family. Rebecca actually hugs Juno, and for a moment it seems like she might be ready to go back to her old employer. Meanwhile, David assembles a team using his father-in-law's resources to corner Juno's squad. When Rebecca sees her father, she fights back and kills everyone in the car, everyone except Juno. After a deadly confrontation where Gunn dies, David and Rebecca finally have Juno at gunpoint. David's convinced that Juno has to die for his family to be safe. But then Rebecca does something unexpected: she begs her father to spare Juno's life. Why Rebecca saves Juno? This is where Rebecca's character gets really complex. Despite everything Juno has done, the lies, the manipulation, destroying her relationship with David, Rebecca can't forget that Juno treated her like her own daughter for 9 years. Before David returned, Rebecca was genuinely important to Juno. In fact, Oliver, Juno's biological son, actually thought his mother loved Rebecca more than him. So even after learning the truth, Rebecca still cares about Juno and can't bring herself to let her die. But this creates another problem. It shows just how unpredictable Rebecca really is. On the way back, David tries to debrief Rebecca about what happened. You can tell he's suspicious of his own daughter, especially when he asks what Juno said to her. We know they had this long conversation about Rebecca potentially returning to work for Juno's new operation, but Rebecca lies and tells David they never spoke. This suggests Rebecca might be keeping Juno alive for her own reasons, and it's not just about sentiment. The restaurant scene, everything falls apart. After letting Juno go, David and Rebecca return to David's wife Yunu and his younger daughter Minhee. For a brief moment, it seems like everything might actually work out. David's family is finally together. They don't have to hide anymore, and Rebecca is even thinking about going to college. She's only 23, so she has her whole life ahead of her. They go out for dinner as a family, and David even suggests they could move to America. Minnie gets excited about visiting Hawaii, and Yunu seems open to the idea. When Yunu decides to go to the washroom, Rebecca goes with her, and David's actually happy to see the women getting along after their initial tension. But then the restaurant slowly gets empty and everything goes quiet. David starts wondering where his wife and daughter are while Minnie falls asleep in his arms. He calls out to Yunu from outside the ladies' room, but she doesn't respond. So he breaks in and finds her stabbed in the chest, covered in her own blood. Rebecca is nowhere to be seen. David frantically tries to save his wife, asking her who did this, but she's lost too much blood to speak anymore. The scene ends with David's desperate attempts to save her, and while there's a good chance Yunu might die, it's possible some miracle could help her survive. Did Rebecca kill Yunu? So the big question is, who attacked Yunu? There are really only two possibilities here. The first theory is that someone from David's past discovered them and attacked Yunu while kidnapping Rebecca. But think about it, Rebecca is incredibly skilled in combat. If someone had tried to take her, there would have been a fight, and David definitely would have heard the commotion. That leaves only one other realistic possibility: Rebecca might have killed Yunu herself and then disappeared. Now, you might wonder why she would do something so brutal when she finally had a chance at a normal, safer life. But you have to understand that working for caddies is all Rebecca has ever known. It's not just her job, she's incredibly good at it and actually enjoys it. Even when her father tried to convince her to leave that life behind, deep down she knew she couldn't. There's actually a conversation earlier between Yunu and David where she questions whether he still sees Rebecca as the teenage daughter he left behind. She points out that 9 years is a long time and people change dramatically. Yunu warned David that Rebecca had changed significantly and might not want to leave caddies, even if that's what he wanted for her. Turns out, Yunu was absolutely right. The real reason. But there's more to it than just Rebecca wanting to stay in the assassination business. Throughout the season, we see hints that Rebecca harbored serious resentment toward her father for having a new family during those 9 years he was supposedly protecting her by staying away. She was bitter about being abandoned, and it's pretty clear she didn't like Yunu either, and that feeling was actually mutual between them. So if Rebecca did kill Yunu, she was essentially making her father feel the same pain and loss that she experienced for 9 years. It would be her way of getting revenge, making him understand what it's like to lose someone you love. She could have just quietly disappeared to go back to her old life, but instead she may have chosen to inflict this devastating blow on her father first. If this theory is true, it's an incredibly dark twist that shows just how damaged Rebecca really is. Despite having the opportunity for a fresh start, she might have chosen violence and revenge instead. But there's actually another important subplot that wraps up alongside all this drama. While David and Rebecca left Juno to fend for herself, she managed to slip away before the FBI could arrest her when they raided Caddy's headquarters. So she's on the run, but that hasn't dampened her enthusiasm to continue her work. Even though Caddy's is gone, she's ready to build something new and more powerful. Meanwhile, Oliver has been taken into witness protection. Even though he agreed to testify against his mother, he still cares about her. When he finds out about the FBI raid, he actually reaches out to Juno and apologizes. She eagerly forgives him and even asks for his forgiveness in return. She tells him that she loves him and will continue to love him no matter what, though the connection cuts out as her plane flies away. What this all sets up. This ending sets up some seriously intense possibilities for what could come next. David now has to deal with the fact that his own daughter, the person he sacrificed everything to protect, murdered his wife. Meanwhile, Rebecca is back out there, and she's proven that she's willing to destroy her own family. And Juno? She's building a new criminal empire and won't let anyone threaten her family again. The psychological complexity here is just incredible. Rebecca isn't your typical victim who finds redemption. She's someone whose trauma turned her into something genuinely dangerous, even to the people who love her most. What did you think of this ending? Did you see Rebecca's betrayal coming, or were you as shocked as David? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content breakdowns and ending explanations.